In tonight's headlines, parliamentarians in Belize form an alliance to fight hunger, local artists benefit from NICH's Cultural Development Fund, and the Belize Coast Guard inaugurates a new base. These stories and more in this week's edition of Belize Now. Thanks for joining us on this Friday, August 2nd, 2019. I am Erin Guzman. On Monday, July 29th, a launch was held for the first ever Parliamentary Alliance Against Hunger and Malnutrition PAHM Belize chapter. Our Belize Now team was there, and Janelle Rodriguez has the story.
The Parliamentary Alliance Against Hunger and Malnutrition, PAHM, is created within the framework of the Hunger-Free Latin America and the Caribbean Initiative, a political commitment of regional countries towards the fight against hunger, malnutrition, and food security. PAHM has been established in 19 Latin American and Caribbean countries, and on Monday, July 29th, Belize became number 20 on that list. Honorable Laura Tucker Longsworth, Speaker of the House of Representatives, told us about the objectives of the PAHM Belize chapter.
The idea is building and creating strategies to address hunger based on evidence, statistics. So we have global statistics, we have regional statistics, and there's a lot of evidence that show that hunger and malnutrition is increasing for the first time since 2016. So what it needs is for Parliament to lend their weight and lend their efforts to achieving the goals of ending hunger for people.
One of the key roles of the PAHM Belize chapter is to establish bipartisan teamwork and create partnerships to support legislation to achieve zero hunger, reduce malnutrition, and increase food security.
So this is the main reason for the Parliamentary Alliance, for us to put our weight behind legislation, but more importantly to put parliamentarians to work at the level of our community to let them know what we're doing at the top and how important it is for a healthy society.
This is very important because it's government across the board, all parliamentarians, everybody. It's not a PUP, UDP thing, as you heard me say, the P is production, not politics.
The fight against poverty, against hunger, against malnutrition is a national fight. It is not a political fight. It is a fight that all parties are supposed to be on board. And all parties are supposed to be working towards zero hunger in this country. So our party strongly supports this initiative.
Honorable Godwin Halls, Minister of Agriculture, Fisheries, Forestry, the Environment and Sustainable Development and Immigration, said his ministry has plans to contribute to achieving the objectives of PAHM.
It speaks to the younger generation as well. You young people are working and busy. One of the things I never mentioned is that in the era of those people I spoke to, mothers stayed home and mothers cooked and mothers did everything and mothers feed their children. Today mothers work, and so it's fast food. Fast food is not necessarily healthy food. It is food that is prepared to make a quick buck, a fast buck. You get a fast food. So if we can rewind that back a little bit and find some means of maybe preparing healthy food as fast food, our department that deals with food processing is trying to work on that to see, like the young lady said, to substitute the ramen noodles for a noodle or something similar which is quick but which is healthy, which the students will like, which is affordable.
The central commitment of the Parliamentary Alliance Against Hunger and Nutrition is to ensure the human right to food as a priority. For Belize Now, I am Janelle Rodriguez.
For the last 15 years, the government of Belize, GOB, has utilized Geographic Information Systems, GIS, to gather data. However, accessibility to the information for planning purposes has been difficult. To fix this, GOB has developed the Belize National Spatial Data Infrastructure, BNSDI for short, which is a national central repository of spatial data which will be easily accessible to both public and private sector. During this week, government officials participated in the BNSDI metadata training at the George Price Center in Belmopan. Sylvia Norales, Spatial Data Administrator for BNSDI, explained to us the importance of metadata.
Metadata is data about data, and within the field of GIS, documentation of your spatial data is very important because we want to know basic information about it. And so this training provided the foundation with regards to how to document your data and what types of information needs to be inputted. Now, this information is going to help with the data quality of your information, of the spatial data layers that will be used across the sectors. You know, for example, for roads need high accurate information, and so you need to input who is the company that created, when was it created, when was it published, what is the resolution of the information. And so this information assists different organizations. We know in Belize we have a lot of World Bank or international banks coming into the country asking and accessing this information, but there is no metadata. And so with this training, we're inputting knowledge, equipping our government workers to input documentation for our spatial data layers, which would assist with decisions that needs to be made in terms of planning.
The 4-day training was led by Eric Van Praag, who is a project manager for ESRI, one of the world's leading organizations for GIS software. Van Praag provided an overview of the training.
So a good part of the training was about hands-on training about how to create metadata. So ideally, if you have a data set, like a data set of crime in Belize or a data set of the coral reef of Belize, you want to make sure that that data has appropriate description, and the description is available also online in some mechanism like a portal, so people can go and find it. So this is all about data sharing, data discovery, avoiding duplication. So, if you go to the Belize NSDI, National Spatial Data Infrastructure Portal, you will have a lot of information available there. The data, the metadata, sometimes services, so you can use the data. And these are long ongoing processes, because some of these countries in Latin America have been doing this already for many years. Belize also has had their NSDI for a few years. So it's all about, better data for better decision making.
A designer for the Fixed and Transport Network Engineering Department at DigiBelize, Venera Pat, shared how the training and information will be beneficial to her work.
Here in Belize, we have data, but we have not properly labeled it. We have not given its full information about the data. So this training allowed me to understand the importance, know about the best practices, and be able to implement this in our organization. We share a lot of data across the board, different organizations, but we're not citing it properly. So this was a really good training. We got to learn about the BNSDI metadata profile, which is really good. We got to practice with that, and it gave us a good understanding of how we will start to label our information and give the proper credits where it's due. We have a dynamic environment. Organizations, people come and go, and being able to properly label the data, anyone could pick it up and understand what this information is about.
The training started on Monday and ended on Thursday, August 1st. We'll have more stories after the break. Stay with us.
I stand against human trafficking because not only is it a violation of people's human rights, but it's modern-day slavery. I firmly believe that human trafficking strips away a person's self-respect and self-dignity, and it also violates that person's ability to reach out and seek help. And for many years, that one individual may be exploited over and over again.
Efforts to address trafficking in persons demand a multi-agency approach involving close coordination between relevant government agencies and international and national organizations, across a wide spectrum of activities. That is why UNHCR, the UN Refugee Agency, fully supports the work of the Anti-Trafficking in Persons Council in the prevention of human trafficking and helping those trapped in exploitation to find freedom and an opportunity to rebuild their lives.
We stand with Belize in the fight against human trafficking because we believe in stopping those who would exploit vulnerable people.
Human trafficking is a gross violation of human rights. It violates the right to life, liberty, and security. In this day and age, no one is to be subjected to exploitation in this manner. We have to put a stop to human trafficking.
To report, call 911 or 0800-922-8477. For more information, visit www.facebook.com/atipsbz.
On Wednesday, May 8th, Belizeans soundly decided to take the unfounded Guatemalan claim to the International Court of Justice, the ICJ. According to the special agreement, this is what happens next. 1. By June 8, 2019, the government of Belize will submit the 2008 special agreement to the ICJ. Guatemala has already done so since their referendum was held in 2018. This will give the ICJ official authority to hear the dispute and to deliver a final binding result. The ICJ will then prepare a notice of when the trial will commence. 2. Next, Guatemala will have up to 1 year, that's 12 months, to submit their case to the ICJ. 3. Belize will then have up to 1 year, that's 12 months, to respond to Guatemala's submission. 4. From there, Guatemala will be given up to 6 months to reply to our arguments, and 5. Belize will then have up to 6 months thereafter to reply to Guatemala's response. 6. After the period of written arguments ends, the ICJ may allow additional pleadings, including oral arguments, and would set deadlines for those. 7. Once the timeline for arguments has ended, the ICJ will deliberate and make a ruling in accordance with the instructions and authorities granted to them by Belize and Guatemala, as per the 2008 special agreement. 8. After the ICJ's ruling is delivered, Belize and Guatemala will have 3 months to establish a joint commission to physically demarcate the boundaries between the two countries in accordance with the ICJ's ruling. The entire process will take no less than 4 years and can be as many as 6 years. This ICJ process will bring a final end to this long-standing Belize-Guatemala dispute. Belize and Guatemala will be able to put old divisions and antagonisms behind us and ensure that peace, development, and cooperation prevail.
On Wednesday, July 31st, the National Institute of Culture and History hosted a handing over ceremony for a cultural development fund at the Belize Center for the Performing Arts. Janelle Rodriguez has the story.
13 local artists and artisans received assistance from the National Institute of Culture and History, NICH, to fund cultural activities within their respective districts. The awards were given as a part of NICH's Cultural Development Fund, a mechanism through which the Institute can continue to streamline and support cultural initiatives. Sapna Budrani, the president of NICH, told us more.
The Cultural Development Fund is to assist any of our stakeholders, cultural stakeholders, be it an artist, be it a community individual, with funds or financial or technical assistance. It's not necessarily only financial assistance, it's also technical assistance. A little over 30,000 was given this first cycle, and it's 12 recipients, but actually 13 recipients. One received not financial but technical support. The other 12 received financial support.
Some of the award recipients told us how they plan to utilize the assistance given to them.
To produce a music video for Rodel Castillo. The music video is entitled Wasuguru, which translates to our journey. So the music video actually is called African Woman. The video will basically depict ambitious, probably a strong or a African woman or a woman of integrity. So the concept behind the video is not quite ready yet, but we're working on it. So basically that money will go in towards probably lights into the whole production process, just to have the quality exactly where we need it to be at.
The production is The Goose and Gander. It was written by a Trinidadian. We have Belizeanized it. We have made it as such that it actually happens in Belize. It certainly is very helpful because most of our plays we finance ourselves. And most of the time our plays are really break even. But we don't make money off of these plays. We do it for the love of it. This time we're going to get some help. We may be able at the end of this play to do other things. For example, we are working on building a stage back in Belmopan, which we will have more plays. We'll be able to produce more plays in the future.
Janella Fraser is the reigning Miss Universe Belize and was the delegate for the 2019 Reina de la Costa Maya pageant. Fraser told us how she has already benefited from the Cultural Development Fund.
I had the opportunity to display my traditional costume, and I chose the Creole, which is about 25% of our current population. And then the night of the pageant, I represented a Mayan god, the god of agriculture. And so for NICH to be on board, it gave me the opportunity to display my culture and history of my country at the pageant. The costume in itself was extremely expensive, and so the contribution definitely went towards my costume. I'm grateful and I'm happy for the contribution, and as I mentioned earlier, I hope that this is an annual contribution, so whoever represents our country gets to really display our cultural diversity.
The National Institute of Culture and History is tasked with exhibiting, educating, preserving, and providing support for tangible and intangible cultural heritage. Another cycle of grants will be available through the Cultural Development Fund and will close on August 31st. For Belize Now, I am Janelle Rodriguez.
The Belize Coastal Zone Management Authority and Institute, CZMAI, hosted a team this week from the United Kingdom's Commonwealth Marine Economy's CME Programme to consult on the development of a Maritime Economy Plan for Belize. The CME Programme offers support to small island developing states in identifying the potential of and developing their marine economies in a sustainable and resilient way. 2 consultation meetings on the development of a plan for Belize were held this week on July 30th and the other on Thursday, August 1st. Cassia De Santos, Regional Marine Project Officer for CME, explained the importance of a maritime economy plan for Belize.
Well, the program really was birthed out of the commitment of the UK government to help small island development states to develop their maritime economy. It was felt that these small islands have more ocean space than land space that hasn't really been, the use hasn't been maximized to economically benefit the country in a way that it could. The Maritime Economy Plan is what we're working on currently, so we're doing consultations. It was discussed with government, their interest in developing a plan, and they were very much interested. Of course, Belize is far advanced in relation to other countries in the Caribbean with relation to developing their maritime economy, to protecting the coastal resources. But what we're hoping the plan would do is bring together in one view all of the opportunities, the challenges, and the gaps that exist within the sector, and to address those, to create a plan that would give signposts in terms of what direction government should be taking based on the feedback of the stakeholders in country.
Since 2017, Belize has received technical assistance from CME program partners such as the Centre for Environment, Fisheries and Aquaculture Science, CFAS, the UK Hydrographic Office, and the National Oceanographic Centre, NOC. CZMAI serves as the national focal point agency to liaise with the program's technical experts for the development of the plan. It is hoped that a draft of the plan for Belize would be completed by the end of this year. Non-resident Ambassador of Belize to Nicaragua, His Excellency Alexis Rosado, presented his letters of credence to the President of the Republic of Nicaragua, Commandant José Daniel Ortega Savera, on Tuesday, July 30, 2019. Ambassador Rosado also met with Vice Presidency, Her Excellency Doña Rosario Murillo Zambrana. In his public address during the official ceremony, President Ortega noted the historic close ties of friendship and cooperation that happily exist between the governments and people of Belize and Nicaragua. In his meetings with the Minister of Foreign Affairs and other senior officials, they exchanged assurances of their commitment to strengthen and expand cooperation between the two countries, such as in the agricultural, medical, and educational fields. During this visit, the appointment of Belize's honorary consul to Nicaragua, Mr. Maurice Morgan, was also formalized with the Nicaraguan government. Ambassador Rosado was accompanied by First Secretary Mr. Luis Enrique Verde, Military Attaché Lieutenant Colonel Ricardo Leal, and Belize's honorary consul in Nicaragua, Mr. Maurice Morgan. Stay tuned for more stories after the break.
On Wednesday, May 8th, Belizeans soundly decided to take the unfounded Guatemalan claim to the International Court of Justice, the ICJ. According to the special agreement, this is what happens next. 1. By June 8th, 2019, the government of Belize will submit the 2008 special agreement to the ICJ. Guatemala has already done so since their referendum was held in 2018. This will give the ICJ official authority to hear the dispute and to deliver a final binding result. The ICJ will then prepare a notice of when the trial will commence. 2. Next, Guatemala will have up to 1 year, that's 12 months, to submit their case to the ICJ. 3. Belize will then have up to 1 year, that's 12 months, to respond to Guatemala's submission. 4. From there, Guatemala will be given up to 6 months to reply to our arguments, and 5. Belize will then have up to 6 months thereafter to reply to Guatemala's response. 6. After the period of written arguments ends, the ICJ may allow additional pleadings, including oral arguments, and would set deadlines for those. 7. Once the timeline for arguments has ended, the ICJ will deliberate and make a ruling in accordance with the instructions and authorities granted to them by Belize and Guatemala, as per the 2008 special agreement. 8. After the ICJ's ruling is delivered, Belize and Guatemala will have 3 months to establish a joint commission to physically demarcate the boundaries between the two countries in accordance with the ICJ's ruling. The entire process will take no less than 4 years and can be as many as 6 years. This ICJ process will bring a final end to this long-standing Belize-Guatemala dispute. Belize and Guatemala will be able to put old divisions and antagonisms behind us and ensure that peace, development, and cooperation prevail.
I stand against human trafficking because not only is it a violation of people's human rights, but it's modern-day slavery. I firmly believe that human trafficking strips away a person's self-respect and self-dignity, and it also violates that person's ability to reach out and seek help. And for many years, that one individual may be exploited over and over again.
Efforts to address trafficking in persons demand a multi-agency approach involving close coordination between relevant government agencies and international and national organizations across a wide spectrum of activities. That is why UNHCR, the UN Refugee Agency, fully supports the work of the Anti-Trafficking in Persons Council in the prevention of human trafficking and helping those trapped in exploitation to find freedom and an opportunity to rebuild their lives.
We stand with Belize in the fight against human trafficking because we believe in stopping those who would exploit vulnerable people.
Human trafficking is a gross violation of human rights. It violates the right to life, liberty, and security. In this day and age, no one is to be subjected to exploitation in this manner. We have to put a stop to human trafficking.
To report, call 911 or 0800 922 8477. For more information, visit www.facebook.com/atipsbz.
In August 2018, we shared the news of groundbreaking for a Coast Guard operating station in Bacalar Chico, north of Ambergris Key. On Friday, July 26th, the station was officially inaugurated. Approximately a mile and a half from the Mexican border, the Bacalar Chico Coast Guard Station is an ideal location for the prevention of cross-border criminal activities such as drug trafficking, weapons trafficking, and illegal fishing. Minister of National Security, Honorable Jan Saldivar, spoke about the strategic location of the station.
There's a lot of activities, criminal activities that takes place on this side of northern Ambergris. For years we've known that we've had to put a permanent presence out here. We have had a makeshift or temporary presence along here, but we have now established a permanent presence, and that we hope will help to curb some of the illicit activities that happen in this area. And the important thing about it is that the illicit activities that happen in this area really drives crime throughout the country. Whether it be Belize City or any other part of the country, a lot of what takes place here in northern Ambergris drives the crime in the rest of the country. Right here we hope to have a self-contained base that is able to respond. In terms of vessels, we have large vessels. We are going to be getting some smaller vessels that are able to navigate in the more shallow waters. So this is going to be pretty much a self-contained base.
The new station lies within the Coast Guard's operational line of effort that is designed to deter illegal activities from San Pedro town and the broader scope of transnational organized crime. And that's it for this edition of Belize Now. If you want to provide feedback or send in your comments, please feel free to email us at info@pressoffice.gov.bz or visit our Facebook page and let us know what you think. We look forward to hearing from you. From all of us here, have a great week. Until next time.